This video is brought to you by the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team. Go to patreon.com/discgolfnerd. What's up, guys? So you've heard about my top 5 favorite discs of all time, all 5 of which are still currently in my bag. Hopefully I will stick with a lot of those over time. There's really no reason to get rid of them. At this point, I don't really see myself changing so much in my form or anything that I need to switch it up that drastically. But I want to do a kind of a part 2 addendum to that video and show you guys 5 more discs that I really like. But these are 5 discs that are not in my bag. These are my top 5 favorite discs that I do not carry in my bag. Now there's a lot of discs that could fit into this category, of course. This is just 5 that I kind of thought up and that I still have on hand. Some of these are very obviously in the top 5. A couple of them might be a little questionable, and maybe I could make the argument to bump something else in instead. But these are my top 5 favorite discs, not in my bag currently. So in no particular order, let's start with the Wombat. The Wombat's a disc that's gone in and out of my bag a few times. It's a phenomenal beginner disc, and it's a really great straight flying disc to easy turnover disc. It's got a ton of glide, it's extremely low fade. It's an awesome disc, but it's just a little wacky. It's just, I don't know. I started throwing it again and I was digging it and it flies great. And then I started testing the fuse and I just like the feel of the fuse better. I feel like it's a little more controllable and does a lot of the same kind of things. So the Wombat got bumped back out of my bag. And also I kind of like to keep my bag a little bit more simple in terms of manufacturers, so I only really have Discraft and then Latitude made stuff, either a few DD molds or Latitude 64 molds. So I bumped this one lone Innova disc out of the bag, but it's a great disc, the Wombat, and I do like it a lot. And it's a great disc that I definitely recommend for beginners and newer players looking for a straight flying mid-range to learn the game with. It's a good option. As you get more experience, it's going to be something that's, you know, you're not going to use it as your go-to mid-range for a ton of different types of shots out there. As you get more experience, it's just going to be something you want to throw super straight, kind of hyzer flip straight, or kind of downhill floater shots, or really easy discs to get to move from left to right on a backhand shot. So definitely like the Wombat. It's a disc that's been in and out of my bag a few times. When I first reviewed it, it went in the bag and I threw it for a good while then. And then I think, I forget exactly why it got moved out of the bag at some point. I forget what disc replaced it first. I can't quite remember how the progression went, but anyway, good disc that I definitely hold on to, especially for times when like a new player might come out with us. That's definitely one I'm going to have them try. Okay, a couple of DD ones next. Next disc. This one's a little bit of a kind of a cheater for this list, is because I could potentially carry this one. Sometimes, like if I'm going out on a day that I know is going to be super windy, this could be a disc that ends up in my bag. But it's not something that's in my bag all the time, and that's the Justice by DD. Just a classic overstable meat hook mid-range. This thing is a moonshine one that I have a little bit of dye on. It's a phenomenal disc. It's just one of those really no-brainer discs that you know exactly what it's going to do. It's like ultra consistent to the point where it's always just going to hook up super strong on that fade no matter how you throw it. Throw it on anhyzer, it comes out and fades out. You throw it on hyzer, it'll hold that and never even think about flipping up. If you throw it flat, it'll hold flat for just a minute and then start dumping out pretty quick, almost immediately out of your hand, depending on how hard you throw it. Forehand, you can kind of like flex it over on a really stiff forehand, but it's going to fade out. You know, it's just one of those discs that you know exactly what it's going to do. Ultimate wind fighter, ultimate control disc, where you really don't have to have any guesswork with a Justice. If you don't know what it's going to do after a few throws, I don't know what to tell you. One of the most consistent discs on the market. And again, if you play somewhere that's like really windy all the time, I would highly recommend checking out something like a Justice. Flat top, relatively small diameter, super overstable mid-range with a big bead. Justice is fantastic, and it's a great disc to have in the bag for times where you just really don't want to worry about it or think about it at all. You just throw it out there and know exactly what it's going to do. If you can reach the target with it, which can be tricky based on the fact that it doesn't go very far at all, if you can reach the target with it, you know you can just throw it out there and it's going to hook up and fade right to the pin. So I definitely like the Justice, and it's one of the best discs on the market that's not in my bag all the time. Next one, another DD mold. This was my favorite driver for years. This is the Trespass. definitely cannot recommend the Trespass enough for the average player. It's a phenomenal disc, and the only reason it's not in my bag is because I've discovered that I can just kind of get the similar flights out of varying my thrashers a little bit. If I have a little bit more overstable run of thrasher, some of the Z ones I have are stable enough that they pretty much, I don't need the Trespass because it's too similar. I can just get different shots I need out of having a few different thrashers in the bag and limit the molds and try to keep my bag a little bit more simple. Trespass, another disc that I could go out and play around tomorrow, put two or three of these Trespasses that I still hold on to because I love them in my bag and know exactly how to use them. They are really straight and they tend to have a pretty nice fade at the end of the flight, especially for my arm speed. Great discs for hyzers. You know, if you put them on slight hyzer, if it's one that's broken in a little bit, it'll flip up to flat. If you have more power, it's going to ride out an S for you pretty easy. And a great disc for amateur level arm speeds. I love the Trespass. It's a speed 12, but it's definitely super throwable. It's not nearly as overstable as like an Enforcer or like an overstable Zeus or a Force or anything like that, or a Destroyer. You know, it's much more throwable than those discs for the average player, but it still has good enough speed and control that it's a really accurate disc. This is actually a really beautiful green old pre-Sweden one, which means they have the digital weight printed on the bottom before it said made in Sweden on the discs. These are early run dynamic disc plastic. Love these ones, and these are my favorite ones. I think I have 3 or 4 of these laying around just in case. You never know if I ever want to switch back to them. They're ready to rock, and I know I'm 100% confident I could go out with play around with them tomorrow and be just fine. You know, they're great discs. Okay, final 2 are mid-ranges. And this list would not be complete without a buzz of some kind. This is a Page Pierce Tour Series buzz that I have in stock to review, so stay tuned for that. I'll be reviewing this Page buzz, this Tour Series swirly Page buzz. Really nice feel on this thing, and the buzz is just arguably one of the best, or pretty much inarguably one of the best, arguably the best disc on the market. It's just a phenomenal disc, straight flying, extremely stable where it just holds that line super nice. It's neutral when you have enough power. You can get it to hold different angles really easily if you know how to use your form and stuff. Like, this is a top choice for a beginner disc to learn the game because it's stable enough that you can throw it on those different angles and you don't have to play for any kind of a hyzer flip up or anything like that. It's a disc that you can just hit dead flat and it will hold that, you know. It shows you how you throw it based on the way it flies. It's a neutral flyer. It gets good distance for a mid-range as well. You know, we've seen Drew Gibson throwing buzzes crazy far this year out there on the course, showing that it's a far-flying mid-range, even though, of course, you know, he's kind of a freak of nature and throws farther than just about anybody, but still, it illustrates that the buzz can handle max level, pro level power, but it's also still a really throwable and controllable disc for any player. The buzz is a phenomenal disc that I'm sure you guys have heard about. Many of you probably throw this disc, and another one that I'm very confident could go in my bag tomorrow and I could play around and I would know how to use it and I would feel pretty confident with it. I haven't had buzzes in the bag for many years now. I did carry them for a while. I carried the Flex Buzz, ESP Flex Buzz for years. I had 2 of those in my bag at all times. I threw them a ton. Great discs, but they ended up, I think I bumped them out for the Axis, MVP Axis, and then I moved on to this next disc I'm going to show you, and then now my Gobies. I just love them so much that I don't need a buzz, but again, 100% confident I can put this particular buzz that I haven't even thrown yet in my bag, play around with it tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure I'd be able to get good shots out of it without really any issue. And finally, the compass. The Ricky Wysocki compass. Now, Ricky not being on Team Latitude 64 anymore, does that have an effect on why I stopped throwing the compass? Not really, but you know, maybe it plays a little bit of a factor. That's part of the reason why I initially tried this disc, is because it was Ricky's first signature disc when he was still on Latitude 64. It came out right before he won his first World Championship, and then this one is a 2-time World Champion kind of Rick. Gold Line X, I believe this is this one. Yeah, Gold X blend. This is a fantastic disc that I carried for a while, and I really trusted it and threw it on a lot of shots. I just don't need it because I can throw my little bit more stable Gobi, and it works basically the same. And they're just too much overlap there again. I could put this thing in the bag tomorrow. I know just how it flies. It's one of my favorite discs of all time. But the compass in general, similar to the Buzz, anybody can throw that disc and get good flights out of a compass. It's incredibly neutral, like a nicely, like slightly broken in opto compass is one of the more neutral discs on the market. It holds release angles so nice, from just dead flat to hyzer. It'll hold a turnover all the way, and it's one of those discs that if I had to play around with one disc out of any disc on the market, this would be one that I would definitely consider, because I know I can control it on a lot of different shots. This Gold X one is a little more stable. It's one I use more for flat to fade or hyzer shots. But an basic opto compass is one of the most neutral, accurate discs on the market. I love the way it flies. And if I didn't have the Gobies that can cover the same lines, it would still be a disc that's in my bag. The compass is phenomenal. They still make them, even though Ricky's not on the team anymore, but you can find lots of different ones on the used market and stuff with the Ricky stamps, if that's what you're into, which I probably would be. As most of you know, Rick's my favorite player. Those are 5 different awesome discs, probably my 5 favorite discs on the market that are not in my bag. What are some of the discs that you really love? You respect them, they've worked well for you in the past, but they're just not in your bag right now. Leave me a comment down below to let me know. If you like what I do and you enjoy the videos, please feel free to subscribe. If you've not done so already, you can stay tuned for future uploads as I continue to push this channel and take it to the next level. Also, if you are interested, you can find the link to my Patreon in the description below. For as little as $2 a month, you can sign up to be a producer on the show, have your name listed in the credits, and be one of the people financially contributing to me and my show here, and helping me out to continue with the Disc Golf Nerd channel and all the stuff that I try to do here for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I'll check you later. Cheers.